that when you say l'chaim Farbrengen, there's a tradition that he revealed. That's not just you say l'chaim by the Farbrengen. You say l'chaim and you wish the Yidden all over the world, wherever they are. You give a bracha to Jews all over the world. So let's start off with l'chaim. Let's say l'chaim that not just there should be l'shana teva, and not only there should be a new blessing for the study of chassidus and the path of chassidus. The l'chaim that we should see the geula mitzvah Hashem with Mashiach Tzidkeinu. L'chaim, l'chaim, v'baracha. I have a friend who had the custom of always saying good vach to the Rebbe every Saturday night. The Rebbe would leave at 7:70, and as I was walking out, he would say to the Rebbe, good vach. So it was one year, I don't know if it was the same setup as this year, where this Kislev was on Shabbos and the Chaf Kislev was on Sunday, because it's a 2-day holiday, but maybe it was this Kislev was on Sunday. Either way, it was Saturday night, it's Kislev, and that was walking out of 7:70, and he tells the Rebbe a good vach. The Rebbe looks at him very seriously, and the Rebbe says a good yontif. Usually on Motzai Shabbos we wish each other good vach. This year, this Kislev, we don't say good vach, we say good yontif. But at the same time, besides saying a good yontif, we also say havdalah. And havdalah we say hamavdil min kedesh l'chel. So how is it both? It's a yontif. On the other hand, we're saying hamavdil min kedesh l'chel. We say there's a difference between the weekday and Shabbos. Now it's not Shabbos. Now it's less than Shabbos, it seems. Hamavdil min kedesh l'chel. On the other hand, we're saying it's a good yontif. There are all kinds of interesting chassidim. Some chassidim probably would prefer to say hamavdil bein kodesh l'kodesh. It's two different yontif, Shabbos and yontif. Some chassidim probably would prefer to say hamavdil bein chol l'kodesh, because Yom Kislev is such a great holiday. It's even greater than a regular Shabbos. But the Pale, that's not what we say. We say hamavdil bein kodesh l'chol. We say good yontif. How do both things come together? So there was a.
You also said the
Oh, Shalom Rebel. A good yontif, good yontif. Rebel, could you do me a favor? There's more bags inside the fridge. Maybe bring a few more bags? Bring 5 maybe.
And also some trash.
very strong barrel with his hands. He has.
Okay. So in the time of the Alter Rebbe, there was a certain mashpia, a certain spiritual mentor, who his name was Rabbi Leib, and he would report to the Alter Rebbe about various chassidim, telling the Alter Rebbe what was going on, various chassidim. And there was one chassid that was a student of Rabbi Leib, and he felt very dejected. He felt very down. Why did he feel so down? He felt so down because he had friends, a lot of other chassidim, and the other chassidim always spoke about the miracles of their Rebbe, and his Rebbe doesn't make any miracles. It seems like he got a dud, because the chassidim in general wouldn't focus on the miracles of the Alter Rebbe. There were many miracles, but it was considered to be unbecoming to focus on the miracles of the Rebbe. The reason it was considered unbecoming was because the Alter Rebbe brought to the world the teachings of Chabad chassidus. Chabad means to approach things in an intellectual way, to make things real to you, make things deep and meaningful. A miracle is just something that Hashem does that shouldn't, it would seem, according to their way they thought then, it would seem that the miracle shouldn't be something that would prove anything that you wouldn't know already. Because if you're a Chabad chassid and use your mind, and you're using your this gentleman needs one, hopefully. It would seem that you'd be able to internalize the truth of Hashem without the miracle. It's good. So, but actually, this isn't really correct. By the way, it's not correct for many reasons. There's actually a letter of the Rebbe to the previous Rebbe, in which the Rebbe writes to the previous Rebbe that he thinks it's a good idea to talk about miracles of Hashem, and he asks, how come Chassidim don't talk about miracles? The Rebbe talks a very interesting letter. The Rebbe goes in that letter throughout the entire history of mankind. The Rebbe speaks about in that letter about how there were pagan times. where people believe in all kinds of idolatry. So at that time, a miracle wouldn't prove anything because people in general were more spiritual minded at that time. They believed in higher things than they could see. But as history progresses, there is the advent of science, where people started to believe only in things that made sense intellectually and scientifically. And then there is a time that we're living in now. It's the Rebbe is writing to the previous Rebbe, where people are so focused on the physical, they're all focused on the here and now. And in this time, he tells the previous Rebbe, it would seem a very good idea to publicize miracles, because a miracle, if you only believe in things you could touch with your fingers, you could see with your eyes, so a miracle lifts you out from a deep pit to a great height. The miracle it shows a light of Hashem in a way that's so powerful and meaningful. So it would seem that it's a very good idea to talk about miracles. So he asked the previous Rebbe, why don't we talk about miracles? And actually, the Rebbe, I know what the previous Rebbe responded to the Rebbe, but the Rebbe did say that it's important for us to talk about miracles, definitely in our time. It says about Chizkiah. Chizkiah HaMelech was such a great tzaddik that he was in the running to be Mashiach. I don't know if there's a ballot for that, but he was in the running, and he would have been Mashiach, except for one problem. One problem was that he didn't thank Hashem, didn't sing to Hashem, he didn't make a song to thank Hashem for all the miracles that Hashem did for him. Because he didn't sing to Hashem, so he lost the merit of being Mashiach. So we see from this, the Rebbe said, that in order to bring Mashiach, how important it is to talk about the miracles of Hashem. So certainly it's something we should focus on. We should talk about the miracles of Hashem. The Rebbe once expressed how many miracles happen in our time. You can't say the words, the last miracle. The last miracle means that there's something happened, and then that's the last miracle. But Hashem really sends so many miracles to us, especially this year. As Rebbe said, this year is called Ploi Sarenu, a year where Hashem shows us wonders. So so many wonders happening this year that certainly you can't talk about the last one, because since the last one, there's been another one. But this chassid Alter Rebbe was living in a different time, and Alter Rebbe was saying that you shouldn't, Chassidim were saying, you shouldn't focus on the miracles. You should focus on trying to do things intellectually. And he felt that this was more, I don't know if he felt it was sort of a cop-out, you know? All the other tzaddikim, they're making Kriyas Yamsuf, they're making such incredible miracles, and his Rebbe doesn't do the same as the others. He felt left out. I want to mention one more point about this, important point. There is a mimer where Tavshin Chai, Parsha Zachar, where the Rebbe speaks about how Amalek tries to use the language that the Chassidim are using. The Chassidim say, what's a big deal that Hashem could do a miracle? What's a big deal? So it sounds like a expression of faith. It sounds like, oh, what's a big deal? Hashem could do a miracle. But truth is not expression of faith. The truth is when you see a miracle, it should make us change. The Yetzer Hara, the Amalek is gematria, is numerical equivalent to Safek, numerical equivalent to doubt. When a miracle happens, Amalek puts a doubt in her head and says, who says it was a miracle? And even if you have to say it was a miracle, Amalek says, who says it was such a big miracle? And even if you say it was a big miracle, Amalek says, but who says that means you have to change? But the truth is, Rebbe says, when you see the hand of Hashem in your life, it should really make you make a major change. It should really lift you out of where you are and cause a major change. And the reason people are saying this is actually coming from Amalek. Amalek is what makes us trust. It says that in the Torah that when the Jewish people left Egypt, they saw the miracles of Hashem in Egypt. And despite these incredible miracles that they saw, the Torah says that Amalek cooled us off. Agut Yontif. Amalek cooled us off. How do you cool us off? Amalek, it says in the Torah, Amalek attacked us when we left Mitzrayim. When a person tries to go out of the limitations, tries to go be different today than he was yesterday, so Amalek comes and cools you off. Says, why are you running? Why are you getting so excited? Relax. And one of the tactics of Amalek is he says to you, who says it was a miracle anyways? And even if it's a miracle, Hashem can do miracles. Big deal. Why are you getting excited? So the language of Amalek is very Hasidic. He's using very Hasidic, sophisticated language. He's saying this is something that Hashem could do. Why are you so impressed? It sounds very similar to what the Chassidim of the Alter Rebbe were saying, but it's a little different. The Chassidim of the Alter Rebbe, they actually didn't need the miracles. They actually were living on the frequency that we will be living on, that we should be living on, seeing the miracles of Hashem. They were living on that frequency without the miracles, without talking about the miracles. But this Chassid Alter Rebbe wasn't living on the same frequency. And he was dejected. He was down. And the Alter Rebbe sent a message to this Chassid Reb Leib. And he asked Reb Leib, not to the Chassid, to the Mashpia, to the mentor of this Chassid, whose name was Reb Leib. And he asked Reb Leib if he could find out what's going on with this other Chassid. He says, Sorich limshach hasayre. You have to pull his hair. Sorich half hasayre. You have to change his hair. Change his hair.
By the way, this Rebbe Lev is the one that Alter Rebbe gave him the time not to read it at the beginning?
No, I don't think so. No, that's different.
Because there was all.
So the Alter Rebbe said, this will be for this chassid a sign, and for others a miracle. The Alter Rebbe said, take this guy, and you have to change his hair. What does that mean? You have to find out what's bothering him, and this will be for him for a sign, and for others for a miracle. So he went to the chassid and said, what is bothering you? He said, what do you mean what's bothering him? And he spoke to him, and spoke to the guy. He revealed to him how he was so down that his Rebbe doesn't make miracles. So the Bleib told him what the Alter Rebbe said, and he was thunderstruck. Here the Alter Rebbe had read his thoughts from so many thousands, so far away. He's reading, he's realized this is what's bothering him. The Alter Rebbe is telling him, the fact that I'm talking to you and asking you how you're doing, and I realize what's aching you, that will be for you for a sign. When you go to your friends and they have these little Farbrengens talking about the miracles of their Rebbes, you'll have one too. This will be for you for a sign, and for others, it'll be a miracle. But then the Alter Rebbe added a line. There's two versions of what the Alter Rebbe added then. One version is, the more common version, which is incorrect, is the Alter Rebbe said, what's the big deal to make a miracle? Anyone who is a tefach is a halachic measurement of a few inches. Anyone who is a few inches above the ground can make a miracle. That's the incorrect version. The correct version is, the Alter Rebbe said, anyone a tefach above the earth can make a miracle. The word earth is malchus. Anyone who's a little above malchus can make a miracle. Malchus is the Kabbalistic term for Hashem's words in creation. Hashem created the world with 10 utterances. Hashem created the world with the 10 sayings in Bereshis, let there be light, let there be a sky. And the Alter Rebbe said those utterances, in other words, they are meant to create the world in a certain way. But if someone's spiritually above the level of Malchus, he connects to Hashem, the way Hashem is beyond that contraction, beyond the limitations of Malchus. So then not only is he able to, then the miracle is not a big deal. Like we was discussing this morning about the story of Rabbi Chaim Daisa's daughter. What's the big deal for Rabbi Chaim Daisa to say? Is that someone's phone? Okay. Rabbi Chaim Daisa. Menachem, you got technical difficulties over here? Okay. Rabbi Chaim Daisa. Menachem, you got it? Oh, you're on host. Let me make you host.
There's one right there. When you need it.
Some people say like
Okay, sorry about that. All right, so Yonatan l'chaim levracha. Where's your l'chaim, Yonatan? So chaim levracha. So Rabbi Chaim Daisa's daughter was discussing this morning how she once been shlicht with vinegar instead of oil, and he said the one who said that oil will burn will tell the vinegar to burn. Rabbi Chaim Daisa is saying there's the words of Hashem which make the oil burn. Hashem could switch around the letters so the vinegar should burn. So the Alter Rebbe was saying basically that a miracle comes from being above Malchus. The energy of Hashem in creation, that's Malchus. And if a level above Malchus, things could change around. But, so in a way, Malava Malka is the essence of what chassidus is about. Why? Shabbos is sort of a miraculous time. Shabbos is a time above creation. Shabbos is a time that we focus on learning and davening, as we just finished the Tanya yesterday. The Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, the very end of the Tanya, he says that Shabbos has two parts. There is remembering Shabbos and guarding Shabbos spiritually. Guarding Shabbos, Alter Rebbe says, means that you shouldn't talk about physical things on Shabbos. Talk about the spiritual things. And remembering Shabbos, he says, it's about the positive connection, bonding with Hashem and through Torah and prayer. So Shabbos we're a little higher. And then the week, we're back down again, back in the regular mundane things. Lava Malka is something unique. It says about Lava Malka that there's a bone in our bodies that only gets sustained by the food we eat in Lava Malka. Mashiach will come, Hashem will resurrect the dead, Hashem will use the bone that's in the back, called the loose bone, and that bone was the bone that Hashem will use to resurrect everybody. How does that bone get its energy? It says in the Talmud, the only energy it gets is from the food that we eat on Saturday night. The food we eat on Motzai Shabbos, that's what animates, that's what gives life to this bone, and that's what feeds into Tchias HaMesim. Why Tchias HaMesim? Why the loose bone? Why Malava Malka? So the answer is because Malava Malka is what the soul is here for. The soul is here to take the energy of Shabbos, to take the miraculous energy, to take the higher kind of connection to Hashem, and to continue that, and to let that flow into our regular mundane life. And that's what this Kislev is about as well. The Indian, the power of chassidus is to reveal the oneness of Hashem in the lowest places. As we're learning today about the idea of spreading the wellsprings to the outside, the idea of chassidus is to bring the highest truths of Hashem in the lowest, least distant places. That's where you find that the greatest tzaddikim were in prison. Avram Avinu, who began the time period of Torah, was in prison. Rabbi Akiva, who was the author of the oral Torah, all the oral Torah comes from Akiva, was in prison. Yosef HaTzadik, we read about this week, who continues the energy of Yaakov Avinu, the Bechir Sheba'avis, was in prison. Rashbi, Hashem Yechoy, wrote the Zohar, was in prison. The Alter Rebbe, who gives us the inner dimension of Torah, is in prison. Why prison? Why Alter? Because the meaning of being in prison means that this tzaddik, he's doing something which causes the truth of Hashem to be brought in the lowest and most distant place. That's the koyach of this kislev. So therefore, this kislev, on the one hand we're saying Hamavdam Keish Lachel, on the other hand we're saying Good Yontif, and that's exactly what this kislev is about. It's about bringing the truth of Yontif into Chel, bringing the truth of Hashem into the most mundane and most distant place. L'chaim levracha. L'chaim for your father's yahrzeit. Pesach Ephraim ben Eliezer. Shem Shalav Aliyah. L'chaim levracha. Rabbi Bezalel. Pada b'shalom nafshi v'kravli ki v'ravim hayu imadi pada b'shalom nafshi v'kravli ki v'ramim hayu imadi yishma kelev v'yanim v'yoyshev kelem sela yishma v'yanim v'yoyshev kedem sela asherein chalifa islamay asherein chalifa islamay v'layaru eloikim sholach yadav Mishlei of Chilel Berisai Chok Machmois Pivukarav Libe Rakud Varamishem Menei Mopsichais Oy hash lechal Hashem Yehovecha Hu vehu yechakalecha leiten leilam mitlatzadik mitlatzadik viyato Elokim toiridem lever shachas viyato Elokim toiridem lever shachas Anshe Yadamim Damim Umirma La Yechzu Yemehem Anshe Yadamim Damim Umirma La yechzu yemehem Va'ani eftach bo Va'ani eftach bo Va'ani eftach bo Ani eftach bo Va'ani eftach bo Va'ani eftach Oy vani eftach bo eftach bo vani 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 eftach bo, Vani eftach bo, Vani eftach bo, eftach bo. Oh, shkech. Till Chaim Take. Till Chaim Yosef, please. Oh my God, shkech. Till Chaim. Chaim Rafa. Ja, Chaim too. Chaim.
He seems to get me. I can't get text it, but the other way around. Amen.
Chaim Rafa.
Thank you.
Chaim Rafa. Do you want to Chaim?
I need to buy out.
Chaim Rafa. Nafshi kamalecha v'soni v'yeretz yaveyayev b'limayi Tirirama yitaremo Tirirama Tirira la yitaremo I can makoinesh chazi sichal irai suschal chavedecho Can makoinesh chazi sichal irai suschal chavedecho Can makoinesh He chalira Isus chaveidecha Dirirama mama Dirirama mama Tararam mama Dirirama mama Yitzirimo David Hamlechem
Oh, wow. Good, man.
So come on, my carpet's got David. The Alter Rebbe was once taken by the ministers. The Alter Rebbe was once taken by the ministers that were judging his case, the judges and the various officers in the prison. They took the Alter Rebbe to a room with a bunch of drawings, pictures, paintings. And they asked the Alter Rebbe what he thinks about these paintings. And the Alter Rebbe pointed to one painting, because this painting is a good painting. The painting is so good. Why is it so good? The Alter Rebbe said, because in order to make such a creation, something can come from something. Yesh me yesh. To create one form from another form doesn't really work. Like a seed, for example. In order for it to produce a tree, the seed has to first disintegrate. In a similar way, the Alter Rebbe said, in order to have a brand new existence, this creative piece of artwork, the artist had to forget himself. Artist forgot about himself. In this process of making the picture, he forgot about himself. And that's why this picture is so amazing. That's what Alter Rebbe said. It's very powerful teaching of the Mizitcha Magid. Rabbi Neufeld said we should mention the Mizitcha Magid because the Mizitcha Magid's yard site, not only Alter Rebbe's day of release. In fact, the Mizitcha Magid said before he passed away to the Alter Rebbe, unbelievable miracles we just take for granted. The Mizitcha Magid told the Alter Rebbe, Yutes Kislev is our day, is our Hilula. Our Hilula means day of celebration. Hilula also means day of passing. The Mizitcha Magid told the Alter Rebbe, Yutes Kislev is our day of celebration, which for the Mizitcha Magid it was the day he passed away. For the Alter Rebbe, it was the day that he was later released from prison.
By the way, it's talking about 26 years before.
Wow. So 26 years before the Alter was released from prison, Mizitcha Magid said, this is our day of celebration. So the Mizitcha Magid, the Shabbos before he passed away, he gathered his students together and he told them the following teaching. It was Parshas Vayishach this year. Mizitcha Magid passed away the following week. And he told the students the following teaching. And although it was just one of his teachings, but since this was a teaching that he said right before he passed away, and since his main student, his prize student was the Alter Rebbe, so there's something about this teaching which is like a sort of a last will and testament, like his most important teaching, like the lesson that he wants us to take with us, especially to the Alter Rebbe should take with him in what the Alter Rebbe has to accomplish. Mizitcha Magid wasn't just the tzaddik that was a leader that taught the Alter Rebbe. When the Alter Rebbe came to Mizitcha Magid, the Baal Shem Tov told the Mizitcha Magid that this neshama chadasha, this new neshama, has never come to the world before. It was a neshama from Atzilus. He will come to you one day. The son of Reb Baruch, the Baal Shem told the Mizitcha Magid who he was. He will come to you, and you should tell him what kind of neshama he has. He's a neshama from Atzilus, the highest world, and his mission is to teach the chassidus in a way of Chabad. That's what the Mizitcha Magid was told by the Baal Shem Tov many, many years before. And it says that when the Baal Shem Tov told Mizitcha Magid, when he comes to, he's first going to leave, then he's going to come back. And when he comes back, that's when you should tell him who he is. That's actually what happened. The Alter Rebbe came to Mizitcha Magid. He wasn't sure about staying or not. Why wasn't he sure about staying? He wasn't sure about staying because things were very different in Mizrich to what he was used to. Before the Alter Rebbe came to Mizrich, he was very focused on studying Torah, and not so much on davening. And in Mizrich, there was quite a bit of time that was dedicated just to better your service of Hashem, to prepare for davening, and to make a count of Krishma before going to sleep, and so on. So the Alter Rebbe felt doubtful about whether this should be his place.
Isn't that why he went there?
Yes, but being there was not something he was used to. So the Alter Rebbe left. And then he forgot, he remembered he forgot something there. He went back to get what he forgot. When he came back, the Mizitcha Magid was discussing the halachic status of a lung. And the Mizitcha Magid explained the halachic status of this lung with such incredible brilliance that this affected the Alter Rebbe, and he decided to stay. There's many components about the story. That's one aspect of the story. He saw the genius of the Mizitcha Magid's explanation, he decided to stay. So the Mizitcha Magid and the Alter Rebbe, nafshei kshur b'nafshei, their souls were so attached to each other as that the Mishnah Maggid was entrusted to tell Alter Rebbe who the Shema was. In fact, one more point, a very powerful, very, very amazing thing. Baal Shem Tov said, how does the Baal Shem Tov know this? Baal Shem Tov knows this because he got this from his Rebbe. Who is Rebbe the Baal Shem Tov? Who teaches the Baal Shem Tov? Baal Shem Tov learned Torah from the same teacher of Eliyahu Hanavi. Eliyahu Hanavi learned from Achia Shileni. Achia Shileni was the one who also taught the Baal Shem Tov. And he told the Baal Shem Tov that this new neshama will have to have great sacrifice for his path and teaching chassidus. But in the end is, if you will stay on his path and you will overcome the opposition, he will be able to be successful with the teachings of Chabad chassidus until the coming of Mashiach. That's what Achia Shileni told the Baal Shem Tov to tell the Maggid, to tell the Alter Rebbe. When the Alter Rebbe actually heard this, it says that the Alter Rebbe was very distraught. He came back home. He has to go through all this hardship, and he has this, and the Alter Rebbe davened to Hashem that he should be able to fulfill the mission. It was a story in itself. But getting back to the Motzai Maggid in the showers before he passed away. So the Motzai Maggid, before he passes away, he gathers the students together and he tells them the following teaching. Teaching goes like this: Yaakov sent angels to Esau. Rashi says he didn't actually send people; he sent mamish malachim, real angels. So the Maggid says the word mamish also means something you could touch with your hands, something which is a physical substance. So he sent to Esau not the soul of the angel, just the body of the angel, but the souls of the angels remained with Yaakov. That's what the Motzai Maggid said. Now this teaching, Shalom Aleichem. This teaching doesn't really, it's hard to understand the teaching. How is it possible for a body to move without a soul? A body can't go anywhere without a soul. In order to go anywhere, you have to have a soul. An angel, the spiritual being, for sure the angel has to have a soul. So what does it mean that only the body of the angel went, not the soul? Second of all, the goal, why do Yaakov send angels specifically? One reason is because anyone you're sending to Esav, is not so friendly. Sending someone to Esav, the guy has to be able to defend himself. Who could defend himself? A malach. That's one meaning. But the other deeper meaning is the goal of Yaakov sending angels to Esav. There's more bags in the fridge. Someone wants to bring a few more bags of food. It'd be very nice. There was more spirituality in an angel, and that's why Yaakov sent angels to Esav to change Esav. So the whole purpose of sending a malach to Esav was because he wanted the spiritual part of the Esav, the spiritual part of the angel. So if the reason why he sent the angels to Esav was because he wanted the spiritual part of the angel, so why does it say that the soul will remain with Yaakov? That's the second question. The third question is, the word mamish, according to Rashi, means they were literally spiritual. They were really angels. According to the Maggid, it's the opposite. They were very physical. Only the body of these angels went, not the souls. So how could this be? The Maggid is saying the opposite of Rashi. Rashi is saying that they were really spiritual. Malachim mamish, really spiritual. And the Maggid is saying just the bodies went. The answer is like this. Baal Shem Tov says you are where you want to be. They ever repeated this teaching literally 1,000 times. You are where you want to be. Where do you want to be? Give the man a l'chaim. Oh, give the l'chaim. You are where you want to be. Oh, get inside. Get inside, Muhammad. Why are you so cold? Get inside. You are where you want to be.
You do have a better truck.
The Malachim actually went to Esav body and soul. They didn't go just their bodies. They went body and soul. You can't move without your soul. You can't move. For sure, an angel can't move without its soul. When it says that only their bodies went to Esav, what it means is they didn't want to be with Esav. They wanted to stay with Yaakov. And although externally they went to Esav physically, but that's not where they wanted to be. That's not where they wanted to be. Therefore, it was as if they weren't there. They weren't there. They were with Yaakov. And that's why they were able to affect Esav, because they remained so spiritual. They remained so spiritual because they didn't want to be with Esav. They wanted to be with Yaakov. Because their desire was to be with Yaakov, that kept them to be in a higher spiritual state. So this is what the Alter Rebbe said. This artist forgot about himself. And the reason why this artwork was so good was because to create something, you have to forget about yourself. You can't create something when you're a yesh. In order to create something, you have to make an ayin. You have to lose yourself. So in order to be able to convey the spirituality of Yaakov and to bring the holiness of Yaakov to Esav, to impact Esav, the Malachim had to, sort of speak, lose themselves and only want to be with Yaakov and not want and not look at their surroundings, not look what's going on, and to be totally attached to Yaakov. The Alter Rebbe went into the office of the prison. He was in Tanya Soviet, and the officers in this office started to laugh at the Alter Rebbe. They're laughing at him and saying, "You want to be the Jewish king? You want to be the Messiah?" Huh? So the Alter Rebbe was given his talis and tefillin, and he was putting on the tefillin Rabbeinu Tam, put on the Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. And the Alter Rebbe used someone given the Alter Rebbe a silver tabak pushka, silver snuff box, and he took the lid off the snuff box. He used it to adjust his tefillin. So he put on the Rabbeinu Tam tefillin, and he adjusted his tefillin. He moved his head to the right and left, and at that moment, the previous Rebbe says anyone who was in that room at that moment was unable to move. Those who were standing couldn't sit. Those who were sitting couldn't stand. Everyone was going. He walks in. They're making fun of him. He puts on his tefillin, and they're whoa. They can't move. They're frozen with fright. The Alter Rebbe said, "How come they got what?" We'll have to explain afterwards why this happened to them. There's in the Torah, all the nations of the world will see you and they'll fear you. When they'll see your tefillin, the Gemara says they'll fear you. So the Chassidim asked, why doesn't it happen when I put on tefillin? I put on tefillin, and we don't have the same effect. It's like if you put on tefillin on a bus, all of a sudden the bus crashes. Why that? Why the Alter Rebbe? What was it different about his tefillin? So the Alter Rebbe answered. It doesn't say in the Gemara that tefillin al reishai, it's tefillin sheba reish. It doesn't say that if you were tefillin on your head, it's tefillin in your head. It wasn't just the physical tefillin that were placed on Alter Rebbe's head. It was that the Alter Rebbe absorbed the inner meaning of tefillin, and therefore it caused the actual fear of the goyim around them. They were so blown away by the Alter Rebbe because of the kedusha of the Alter Rebbe. So what does that have to do with us? The Rebbe says it has a lot to do with us. A Jew might be involved in the language of the Rebbe, in the hoo-ha of the world, and yet is able in a moment to leave the entire hoo-ha of the world and to connect to the essence of Hashem, to go beyond the here and now and connect the essence of Hashem. Just like the Alter Rebbe was involved in a scenario where there's an opposition, they're scorning him, and suddenly he's lifted above the whole situation, he put on his tefillin, so too a Jew has to have that same sense that he's not far away from connecting to Hashem. Whatever's going on in a moment, a Jew can suddenly stop whatever's going on around him and say, "What's my mission? I want to be with Yaakov. What am I doing here? What's going on?" Everyone said, if you have a doubt about what you should do during the day, you should say Meida'ani. No, it's do during the day, say Meida'ani. Why should you say Meida'ani? Because why you have a doubt? Where do doubts come from? Doubts come from your lack of connection to Hashem. Say Meida'ani, strengthen your bond with Hashem, and then you have a clarity on where you need to go. Doesn't work for every question, at least, but it's something that tells you who you are. You think that you're involved in a certain scenario, and no, you know who you are. You're an alien from outer space. You're an neshama that came to this world, and you're able to suddenly lift yourself out of wherever you are and go to a whole different realm. You see, connect yourself to the Eibusher. Alter Rebbe suddenly he puts on his tefillin, and the whole world changes. So do Jews to feel the same thing, that we have this direct bond with Hashem, and you can suddenly pull yourself out of whatever's going on and connect the Eibusher. This is real. This is me. This is you. This is in all kinds of scenarios. Doesn't matter where we are. Doesn't matter what we're doing. We have this ability to connect to the Eibusher no matter what's going on. This is Malachim Mamish. This is the last message of Zitcha Magid. A Jew has to go into the world of Esav. He has to go in the world where there's lots of negative forces there. And yet, despite all the negative forces around, a Jew is able to be conscious of why is he there and what am I doing? And to know what you're doing and why you're there puts you in a different place. Just like that artist, he forgot himself in his artwork. So too, a Jew has to forget about the here and now sometimes and think about who is sending me and why am I going there? You can look at the scenario around you. Sometimes to see the best, you have to close your eyes. Sometimes to see clearly, you've got to close your eyes and realize what's going on. Who are you? I'll never forget this. I was walking in Hill Street in downtown, and this Jew was walking down the street, and I asked him if he wants to put on tefillin. Literally, I'm not making this up. He says, What did you say? I said, hi, I was asking if you're Jewish, you want to put on tefillin? I was afraid you said that. Come with me. He takes me to his office. We put on tefillin. And I said, listen, I'm in this business since I'm 13 years old. I asked people to put on tefillin, and I just wondering, I never saw anybody do that before. Like, what's going on? What does this mean? He said, when I was a kid, my father told me, when anyone asks you to put on tefillin, you always have to say yes. You never say no to a mitzvah. So I was in a rush. I had to go to a certain place. And here you are asking me to put on tefillin. Hear what's going on with this guy. His father brought something into his heart and mind. It's stuck with him. Whatever's going on, he's walking in Hill Street. We know who he is. He's a Martian from outer space. He's an neshama. He's a soul. So we think we have our own definition of how we define ourselves. Comes out the Rebbe, and the day of Geula, and lifts us out of wherever we were before, and tells us, you're not who you think you are. You are a neshama. By learning the inner dimension of Torah, it touches something deeper within us. L'chaim, l'chaim, l'brach. Nur David and Nigen David.
אפשר למלות את זה לרב? אפשר למלות את זה?
בבקשה. זה גם? אוקיי. Oh Lord, Allah, ya I have some.
Oh, can you ask?
Thank you. L'chaim, l'chaim, l'brach. תודה רבה. l'chaim, l'chaim, l'brach. l'chaim, l'chaim, l'brach. Rabbi Yosef Weinberg, Alva Shalom, he used to travel around the world as a shadar. The Rebbe sent him to do many missions all over the world. He had so many interactions with the Rebbe, and fascinating man. He said that he was sent to visit this country. He didn't say which country it was. And someone told him the following story. This guy had a problem with his business. More accurately, he's about to go bankrupt, and he didn't know what to do. So he asked the Rebbe for a bracha. And the Rebbe said to him that he should learn Chumash Tilman Tanya in the daytime. He just began Chitas Tanya anew. Today is the first day of Tanya. I don't know about you, but I didn't finish the Tanya today. And the guy, when he was in the audience of the Rebbe, he had the same problem. The Rebbe asked him if he learns Chitas. He said, I do Chitas. The Rebbe said, when do you do it? He says, Tilma I do after davening. Or Chumash and Tanya I do the night after most of the time. I finish work. So So Yosef Weinberg said that the Rebbe told him that he should make sure to do it by day. You're Mechamar.
Not a problem, yeah.
It does. It's really good.
What was the problem that I might have?
The guy asked the Rebbe for a bracha going bankrupt. The Rebbe said to him, make sure to do Chumash and Tanya by day, not by night.
He does it by night because it's not yet.
So after he did this, he told Rabbi Yosef Weinberg, everything changed for me. Everything. And Yosef Weinberg loved the story, and he went to another Farbrengen and he shared the story. And one of the guys at the Farbrengen told him, well, that worked for him because the Rebbe told him that. It won't work for me. So Rabbi Weinberg said, it's not like a chont and a muggin. What's a muggin in Yiddish? A shredder muggin. Huh? Intestines? Intestines. In time it's a machzedek. I'm trying to talk to you. Where are you?
I did pitas by day, by night.
Do the ram later. I'll talk to you for a sec. We'll do it together after we finish. It's a Farbrengen. Every mitzvah is done. You do every mitzvah perfectly. You can't do it with it. You can't mix two mitzvahs. So Rabbi Weinberg shared the following story. He said that by the Tzemach Tzedek there was a Jew who had a shvera mogin. He had a problem with his intestines, and he was by a Farbrengen by the Tzemach Tzedek, and someone served him some chont, and he didn't eat because having chont isn't so good for the kishkas. We had a good kishka in the chont, but chont kishka isn't necessarily good for your own kishkas. So he didn't eat the kishka. He didn't eat the intestines. Kishka means intestines, whatever. He didn't eat the intestines. So he didn't eat the chont because of his bad situation in the stomach, his gastronomical situation. So Tzemach Tzedek said to him, why don't you eat? So Tzemach Tzedek said, why don't you eat? So he finished the whole portion of chont. Of course he finishes. Which, by the way, that's a thing that not everyone knows. The previous Rebbe was with, I think it was in Vienna, with Rabbi Raskin on Shalom, and it was after Shabbos. And Rabbi Raskin asked him, and Friedrich asked Rabbi Raskin, what did you want from me? What do you mean what I want from you? He said, why do you give me so much chont? Because the custom is when you serve chont, you're supposed to finish all the chont. So this apparently Rabbi Raskin didn't know about this custom. They gave the Friedrich Rebbe a big bowl of chont. Friedrich Rebbe, it's Shabbos, you have to eat the whole bowl of chont, but he didn't want to eat the whole bowl of chont because it was more than he wanted. So he would have wanted that he should be served less chont, but once you serve chont, you're supposed to finish all of it. So the guy ate the chont, and then he came home the next week and he decided to chont again. Tzemach Tzedek told him that he should eat the chont. Nothing happened to him. So next week he also wanted to eat the chont, but it didn't work. He got very sick. So apparently the chont was only working because the Tzemach Tzedek said it should work. It wasn't working because it always works. But Weinberg said that the chitas isn't the same thing. The cholent is that you need the Tzemach Tzedek to say the chont will work. But chitas is shavel chol nefesh. Chitas is made for every soul. And also the Rebbe told this person to do chitas by day, not by night. So to everybody, by focusing on doing the shur by day, it'll bring a bracha to everybody. I know personally, I had a situation, a very scary situation, when my wife was pregnant with our Chaim Mushka. I asked her for a bracha, opened up his letters, to make sure the chumash with Rashi carefully, and the uber and the fetus will have a refuah shlema. Thank God, everything was good. Baruch Hashem, it was very good, very fast. But the point is that chitas brings tremendous blessing. We have a Jew over here, his title on Tanya today, Baruch Hashem, right? L'chaim, l'chaim, shvatzlacha rabba. L'chaim, l'chaim, v'rach. So let me tell you what happened. You, David Gold, are thinking that's what he said. It's not like chont. You think maybe it is like chont, right? That came into your mind, right? So it also came into my mind. So let me tell you the end of the story. Rabbi Weinberg, he came back to New York, was before Yud Shvat. He's bringing with the Daratera. Brings the Daratera, and he's bringing another place. And he wrote to the Rebbe a report of all of his Farbrengens. And after Shabbos, the Rebbe responded, you put all of these events in 2 lines, and even those 2 lines, you didn't finish the whole 2 lines. There's some blank space at the end of the 2nd line. The Rebbe said this is a tzimtzum, la'achar tzimtzum, even more than Sinsumim that we spoke about on Shabbos. That Shabbos that we spoke about in the Mimer, that we spoke about how there's contractions that happen even before the first Simsum. And he told Rabbi Weinberg that you've condensed your report so much, so contracted, you don't tell me what's going on. If I bring here, you don't tell me what's going on. So okay, the Rebbe told him. So he shared the Rebbe this whole story about the Chalon and his interpretation of the story, and the Rebbe gave him a very positive answer, which he felt meant that he did good. He said the right thing. That it's not like Chalon. Every person who chitas by day instead of by night brings tremendous blessing to themselves, not only for ruchnis the kinyanim, but in the story brings bracha for parnasa. Bracha parnasa, chitas by day is a great way to start.
I have to tell people this in Kislo when it's so quick to this end, and then like now you're telling us now,
Listen, we're talking about something which is lucrative. When there's something lucrative, you find time for it. Huh?
Can't wait to tell us.
We just started tying today. So I'm telling the first day one. I was telling my son last night that I wanted one of my children to say brachas at home. Instead of doing brachas in school, say brachas at home. Because the Rebbe said about this, that saying brachas at home, child wrote the Rebbe once. He says brachas before he goes to school, he says brachas to the siddur. The Rebbe said there's news for him, that the child saying brachas to the siddur for the Rebbe, like cold water on a dry parched soul. That's what the Rebbe said. So my son's like, I'm not so careful on it. I said, listen, there hasn't been one day this year that you haven't done it. It was last night. What do you mean, Tati? It hasn't been one day this year. It hasn't been one day this year. Looks at me and says, no idea what I'm talking about. The year just started. This kiss of the new year. There was you don't get it? This kiss of the new year. So there has been. What's our problem? Our problem is we think that we're in this certain mode, in a certain and groove we can't change. I'm stuck in a certain way. Someone wrote the Rebbe once that chassidus has no effect on him, and he thinks he should stop learning it. And the Rebbe told him two answers. I heard this from Melech Tzibah. Melech said that the Rebbe told him two answers. The first answer the Rebbe said was, it can't be there's no effect. You don't see the effect, but chassidus certainly has an effect. Not necessarily do you see it. Number two, the Rebbe said, a new year is starting. A new year is new energy. So it could be didn't have effect on you till now. Now there's a new year. There'll be new tzir of shemavaya, new energy, new gali flow. So now you'll start to be things. You see things differently. Now Melech interpreted the story as like they was talking to his animal soul. We all have we have our box and our lens, how we see things. I'm saying, okay, you think it's one, but now it's a new year. What are you talking about? Anyways, Rav David, we have to go chata tonight, this week, chitas by day, not by night. You with me? Chomar, are you with me?
That's my chota for you.
The young night is young. That's one of them.
Don't come adding more now.
Chaim v'rach. Even now, chesiyah. Mamo yera yera nidira mama yo yera 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 mama nidira yera nidira mama no yera nidira la yo Mama, mo, dira mama, mo, yera, yera, dira da da yo, yina, ya, yera, yina, mama, yino, dira da yo, mo, yina, mama. Oh ya khaliki oh yedayni nafshi kimi menu sikwasi oh ya khutsuri shuwasi miskavi liyem da 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 moya da da yina da mama yina da 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 yina da yina Da-da-da-da, mo, mo, ma, ma, yina, ma, 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 yo. Oh, ya, chlelikin, oy, dey, mi, nashi, kini, menu, sikvosi. Oh, ya, chutzuri, vishuosi. Miskabi Elayem Tira-ra-ra Mama Yina Mama Yina Yina Tira Mama Yina Tira-ra-ra Mora Mama. A few days before the Alter was released, 3 days before to be precise, Alter was in prison for 53 days, corresponding to the 53 chapters in Tanya. The 3 days before he was released, the Mittler Rebbe was so distraught about the pain of his father, Mittler Rebbe fainted. When he was revived, he fainted again. And so his grandmother, Rebbetzin Rivka, told her grandson, the Mittler Rebbe, don't worry, I know that your father is coming out of prison this week. How did she know? She had heard who would come to her. I don't came to her. Someone came to her and told her, maybe it's Baal Shem, I don't remember. Or some and the Shama came to her and told her that the Alter would be released. And sometimes the person is going through a situation and they feel like there's no way out. They feel like they're stuck, and you just feel like there's, and it's right before the door opens, and you feel like you want the door to open already, but you're not there yet. The door hasn't opened yet, and you feel like I need this, and it's not there yet. Shmuel Levin al used to say there's 10 levels in a fool, 10 levels in a shaitan. Sometimes a person walks in your home, the way they walk in your home, you can tell this person just is not normal, something wrong with them. Their mind isn't working properly. Sometimes you can't tell right away when they walk in your home. The way they take the chair and the way they sit down in the chair, Mashallah Beseder, something's missing. Sometimes the person sits down, and everything is fine, and everything is normal, 100%, and then he leaves the house and he closes the door. When he closes the door, oh no, something is not okay with this person. So who is the greatest? Who is the one who is the most not okay? Who is the one who is the biggest shota? The one who is the most foolish? The door guy. Well, you think the guy who, as soon as he walks in, you can tell something's wrong with him. He's the guy who's the most foolish. That's exactly right. But Shmuel said he's holding it so long, he couldn't hold it in for one more minute. So in a similar way, Shmuel used to say that we're now in the last moments of the Golus. Mashiach is about to come. And for us to not hold on strong now, it's just foolish. It's foolish. The hard part we did already. The hard part we went through. But when you're waiting for the door to open, and the door hasn't opened yet, and you're going down a road, and the road is rocky, it's not an easy thing. In Tanya, Shayichad Amunah, chapter 5, the author speaks about how Hashem chose to create the world with Midas HaRachamim, the attribute of mercy. He originally, so to speak, planned to create the world with the attribute of justice, the Medrash says, but Hashem saw the world wouldn't exist, wouldn't be able to be sustained. Therefore, Hashem added Rachamim. What's Rachamim? Rachamim means revelation of Hashem through tzaddikim and through the miracles of the Torah. If we wouldn't have these miracles of the tzaddikim and the miracles of the Torah, we wouldn't be able to go through the exile. Without Hashem showing us different things, we wouldn't be able to keep holding on. So our generation, we merit to have our Rebbe who not only revealed godliness in a global level, when the Jewish people needed advice about communist Russia, about the 6-Day War, about the Yom Kippur War, about the Gulf War, about hurricanes, but the Rebbe also revealed godliness in a way that's personal, direct to people, giving them an open ruach hakodesh, open divine inspiration to people with very specific, detailed problems in a way that it's impossible to explain any other way other than that all came from Hashem. Same Rabbi Weinberg, Al Shalom. He had a relationship with his family. He didn't say which country it was. He's very careful of people's privacy, identifying details. There was a family that he met in one of his travels around the world, and he had inspired this family to send their children to study in yeshiva. They sent their sons to study in New York, in the Chabad Yeshiva in New York, but their daughter wasn't able to go to Chabad Yeshiva in New York because there was no Chabad Yeshiva in New York for girls at that time. Bais Rivka at that time only had an elementary school, didn't have a high school. So she went to join the Bais Yaakov in New York, and she stayed at the home of the Weinbergs. And she was doing very well. But one day, he got a call from the school. She's not focused on her learning as much. She's having problems. And basically, they discovered that she's not healthy. Something's wrong. Something's bothering her. They took her to a specialist named Dr. Rebbe said they should take her to a specialist named Dr. Wilder from Vienna. The Rebbe said they should take her to a certain Dr. Wilder, who was someone who treated the previous Rebbe as well. And Dr. Wilder said that he examined her and he looked at it in her eyes. He said it looks like there's some kind of a growth, God forbid, a tumor may be in her brain. That's why you could see in her eyes something that doesn't look the way it's supposed to be. So this was before Shavuos. Rebbe said on Yontif they should take her to the hospital, and they should examine her there. But they should, and they did. They brought her to the hospital. The brothers walked back from the hospital. They came back to 770, and they told the Rebbe that the doctors examined her as well, and they concur with the opinion of Dr. Wilder that she has some kind of growth on her brain, and they need to operate. The Rebbe said that. They said that she has a growth in her brain. That's for sure not. For sure not. Why don't they think that there's some kind of a blood clot or there's water, liquid there? Why are they assuming that there's a tumor? It's not true. So they said maybe after Shabbos we'll hear good news already. So over the next Shabbos, they did I don't remember what the test is called, where they put fluid into the brain. What's it called, David? They put some fluid there so the X-ray could see different colors of the fluid. Huh? Yeah. Say it again. What's it called? Contrast. Thank you. So they did that kind of test, and the tests came out that there's no issue. The Rebbe sent a note to a Dr. Davidoff. Dr. Davidoff was considered at the time the top neurosurgeon in America and one of the top neurosurgeons in the world. The Rebbe sent a note to him. He should take special care for this girl. And Rabbi Weinberg asked the Rebbe if we should tell the parents about the situation. Parents don't know. The Rebbe smiled. The Rebbe said, "You're going to give me more work. She's going to come to me, and I already told you my opinion that there's no issue. She doesn't have this. There's no need for operation, and and you're going to make your work easier, make your life easier, make my life harder. In other words." So Rebbe said they shouldn't tell the mother. There's no reason to. So Dr. Davidoff examines her. Dr. Davidoff says, although the test came back that there's no fluid there, but there's no tumor based upon the contrast test. However, he said that it's still the evidence shows that he's quite positive. He told Rabbi Weinberg he's quite positive this is a tumor, and you have to operate right away. So he came back to the Rebbe and he told the Rebbe what Dr. Davidoff said, and Dr. Davidoff said you should tell the parents right away what's going on. The parents have to know. And he said, Dr. Davidoff said, I know that the Rebbe doesn't want to tell the parents yet, but I'm telling you, there's a tumor, you have to operate right away. So they wanted to do another kind of test, where they let an air test, where they have to drill something into the skull, cut into the skull, and in order that the air should go in the skull, and through the air, they're able to also to do a different kind of X-ray, where they're able to find if there's a tumor there. So they asked the Rebbe if they should do this second test. So the Rebbe said that we go according to the Torah, and that's the expert is saying to do this test. We'll do this test. However, the Rebbe said just sign that you agree to the test, not to any operation. Only agree to the test, not to any operation. So the brother wrote clearly on the document, the sign, they agreed to the test, just the test, not operation. They did this test, and guess what they discovered? They discovered that there's only fluid on the brain, but there's no tumor, no tumor there. And Dr. Davidoff told Rabbi Weinberg, was very happy to tell him that there is no tumor, Baruch Hashem, and just fluid, as the Rebbe had said long before. And we don't need to hear things that we know already, but nevertheless, it says in the Torah, of the emunah, their faith was lost, it was cut out of their lips. So the previous Rebbe said, why do people lose their emunah? Because they don't talk about the things they believe. In order to keep our emunah strong, they talk about things we know. Say a story of a tzaddik, story of the Rebbe, it gives koyach, gives chayas. Each of us has our own path. Each of us has our own different bumps on our own road. But it's when you're on the road and you feel like you're waiting and things look a certain way and you want to hold on to what you know to be true, you need to have koyach, you have chayas. The chayas we get specifically by focusing on the stories of tzaddikim. My elders, my great grandfather used to say, "Thank Hashem that we have a Rebbe, and thank the Rebbe we have Hashem." What do you mean? Through the Tanya, we learn about the Eibishter. Through the Rebbe, we teach us about Hashem. And how do we know about Hashem? Because Hashem gave us a tzaddik. So that's why it says in Tanya, His galus okus tzaddikim, through the tzaddikim, that the miracles of Torah resonate with us. Miracles of tzaddikim give us this the wherewithal to overcome the different challenges Hashem sends us. Therefore, it's very important to focus on, talk about the nisim and the floys, the miracles and wonders that Hashem does with us. And whatever's going on, he has to stay connected. As the Mayor of Premishlan famously said, be connected above, you don't fall below. L'chaim, l'chaim, l'rach. Chomar chotzinig, chomar l'chaim. Said this afternoon, but we can sing it now, I guess. Huh?
So the high level surgeon was wrong.
Yep.
And the Rebbe was right.
That's right.
Because he saw through the eyes of Hashem.
No, there's a pasuk in Chomar l'chaim. Mikoilis ma'im ram adim mish b'yam adim mavayim. Louder than the voices of the great waters, Hashem is stronger. Hashem on high is stronger. This pasuk means Koilis ma'im ram adirim is a voice of nature. Nature is a very loud voice. Nature screams in your ear. Nature says the world has to be a certain way. It can't be any different. This is the way it is. So we say in the pasuk, the loudest nature is in the emes. The Eibush is true here in this world. The world is very loud. Nature is very loud. But Yid, Hashem gives us the strength to look beyond the here and now and connect to the emes. Adam Mavai. Mama yo yura mo yura mama yura ma yura mama mama. Oy lede yo yura mama yura. Mo yada mama did yada yo mama oh yada mama yada mama hey little mama yeah no oh mama mama yo Don't worry, Shimon. I'll let you go soon. Hold on. Let's go. Huh? Dizziness? I'm sorry. We're good. The- I was sharing a vart I heard from my uncle, Moshe Fogelman. I heard it from Erev Shabbos. Very good vart. I only asked him for a vart because I realized I have no idea what this Kislev was about. Because we're learning the chassidus this week, Yitis Kislev. I realized I have no idea what it's about, the whole Yitis Kislev. We learned this week how the Alter Rebbe wrote to Baruch Mezhebusher and Levitz Berditchev that Yitzchak Kislev was a day that the Gentiles saw the miracles of Hashem. Rambam? Why is it important to know what the Gentiles are saying? Why is it important to know that the Goyim are speaking about the miracles of Hashem? We're talking about Hashem revealing himself to Jewish people through his Torah. Why is it important to know that the non-Jews are speaking about the miracles? And the answer is, the Rebbe says, we want to speak with that the focus is of Alter Rebbe. He wants us to tell us his Kislev is not just about revelation of Torah, it's about the coming of Mashiach. Mashiach told Baal Shem Tov he's going to come when the wellsprings are spread to the outside. When they begin to spread to the outside? By the time of the Alter Rebbe. So this works like this, Reb David. As you know, the Ramak says that as far as Atzilus is from Ein Sof, as far as this world is from Atzilus, is a far distance from Atzilus to Ein Sof. That's what Ramak says. Ah? Oh, you listen. Very good. So in a similar way, what did I tell you, David, about Yitzchak Kislev? No. That the Alter Rebbe's contribution to our world made this world so very good. Very good. As great a contribution Baal Shem Tov brought to the world and world changed because of Baal Shem Tov. So as far as the world has changed through the Baal Shem Tov, the far greater change through Chayil. Chayil caused a far greater change. This kiss caused a far greater change than the revelation of Baal Shem Tov. How so? With the Baal Shem Tov, Mashiach will never have come. Mashiach can never have come to the Baal Shem Tov. Only through revelation of Yitzchak Kislev can Mashiach come. Why? What's Yitzchak Kislev contribute beyond the Baal Shem Tov? Why? You know, the Alter Rebbe was very upset that one of his teachers, David, this isn't here before David. The Alter Rebbe had a teacher, his name is Sachar Dave. He had a teacher at Kabbalah, a few teachers. One of his teachers was from the city of Lubavitch, and he did not tell the Alter Rebbe he was a student of the Baal Shem Tov. I didn't tell the Alter Rebbe about the Baal Shem Tov. The Alter Rebbe was upset. How come he didn't tell me about the Baal Shem Tov? The Alter Rebbe was upset until he learned in chassidus the meaning of Shem Elokim. Shem Elokim is Hashem's power of concealment. So when he learned about Shem Elokim, he felt better about him not meeting the Baal Shem Tov. What is it? What did he learn about Shem Elokim? On the one hand, Shem Elokim is the name of Hashem which causes concealment. On the other hand, the concealment of Shem Elokim isn't just a concealment. Hashem conceals himself. The purpose of bringing godliness and creating a lower kind of reality, that to bring Hashem's truth to a lower reality. So in other words, Baal Shem Tov, so to speak, was a higher kind of revelation. The Alter Rebbe wasn't meant to have that kind of revelation. Why not? Because the Alter Rebbe his mission is about bringing Elokus, revealing godliness in the lowest possible realm. And therefore, he wasn't meant to meet the Baal Shem Tov. Through Hashem Elokim, the revelation is even greater. Through Hashem Elokim is the revelation of Hashem's essence. Through the revelation of the Alter Rebbe, he made it possible to bring Elokus, reveal godliness in the lowest places. And that's why the Alter Rebbe felt better that he didn't meet the Baal Shem Tov. He knew that he would have been amazed to meet the Baal Shem Tov. But he felt better. He didn't meet the Baal Shem Tov. Why? Because he knew that wasn't his mission. His mission was to reveal Hashem in lowest places. There's a revelation of chassidus of Baal Shem Tov. Yitzchak Kislev is called the Rosh Hashanah, not just for Chabad chassidus, called Shana for the Baal Shem Tov's chassidus, for all of chassidus. As Rebbe Rashab writes in the letter, that the teachings of Alter Rebbe is the teachings of Baal Shem Tov, the same teaching. I thought the Rebbe was veered off from the Baal Shem Tov. The Alter Rebbe brought the truth of the Baal Shem Tov down to this physical world. There's a truth how it is in a shul. Rabbi Fishman Gesund was my Melamed when I was in second grade, and he told us always. One second, what was there? He told us a story. A Jew learns a Tosfos. The Tosfos says the world asks a question. So a Jew is wondering who is the world that's asking the question. Says the world asked the question. Oila Maksha says Tosfos, the world asks the question. So he's wondering who is this world that asks the question. So the Jew goes out in the world and he asks people passing by, do you know Tosfos' question? No, Tosfos' question. He goes around to the marketplace, he goes from store to store. You guys know Tosfos' question? You know Tosfos' question. He goes in the little shtibel, goes in the little shul, and he asks them in the shtibel, do you know Tosfos' question? Oh, of course, no Tosfos' question. They tell him Tosfos a question. So he realized when Tosfos says the world asks a question, what's the world according to Tosfos? The world according to Tosfos is a little shtibel. That's what the world is. That's what the truth is. That's true. But the Alter Rebbe did something more. The Alter Rebbe brought the truth of Hashem to go out of the Tosfos, out of the little shtibel. It should be seen and vivid in the world in a down-to-earth way. So that the nations of the world that recognize the miracle of Hashem in the time of the Alter Rebbe, that they should see that miracle happen. That's what chassidus is about. It's about Hashem's truth being revealed to people which are on a lower plane. People who aren't so holy. People who aren't so spiritual. People who are not Jewish. The purpose of the revelation of this Cashapp is that Hashem's truth should be revealed everywhere. And therefore is that we are not just entrusted and empowered by Hashem to share the truth of Hashem with other Jews, but also with Gentiles. A Jew is meant to share with a non-Jew about the truths of Hashem, as it says in Tanya, where we have to prepare the world for the coming of Mashiach. What's Mashiach about? Mashiach is not just about the Jews serving Hashem. Mashiach is about us seeing Hashem in a vivid way in the physical reality. And therefore, we have to share the truth of Hashem to the world. Mashiach's coming is about there being a public menorah lighting, that everyone can see the truth of Hashem in a vivid way, in a way that's open to that. Mashiach is about that a child takes his room and he makes it, my room should be a Bais Chabad, my room should be a place for Hashem. Not just to be his truth that's in a shul and it davens and it's inspired, but the emes Hashem le'olam, the truth of Hashem should be seen in the world. That's Yitas Kislev. Emes Hashem le'olam. Revelation in the lowest places, in the lowest reality. Emes havaya le'olam. L'chaim v'rach. Okay. Let's see the Muhammad have to go. Shimon has to go.
Take care of
the market passed before or after the Yud test before that happened? Before or after that happened? Did the market pass before or after?
After what?
After Yud test.
Pastor only Kislev.
Yeah. And then,
When he told that to the Alter Rebbe?
no, with the guy, like,
26 years before the Alter Rebbe's redemption, he passed away.
Okay.
Yontif Yehuda. Yontif.
Thank you. I learned a lot.
Okay, I'm glad you did. Thank you for coming.
Party's over. Next time.